and he's like, his eyes open wide, and he's looking at it, and all of a sudden, it darts out of the bed. You see the sheets move, and it fucking just leaves the bed. It goes right under the sheets and just takes off. I am telling you, that scene is shot so epic, and it scared the living daylights out of me. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to DVDs, Nuts, and Popcorn. I am your host, the PMM, the Physical Media Mac. And yes, I am back again, proving to you guys that physical media is still alive and well. I got a box full of DVDs and Blu-rays that I'm going to show off in this episode here. I'm really getting into killer rat films, guys. After watching Night Eyes and loving that film, we talked about that in the last video, I've determined that I must own every killer rat film ever made in my collection, and probably come out with a top 10 killer rat videos in the not so distant future. Now, I hosted a StreamYard today, kind of an impromptu, or really, yes, an impromptu. I didn't even know that there was an Xbox Direct today. By the way, these Directs are some of the worst events as far as publication or publicizing. I had no clue. Friends that I know had no clue. It's like if I wouldn't have went on Game Pass and saw something on there, I would have had no clue that the event was today. Luckily for me, I found out early this morning. And yeah, I hosted a StreamYard, a reaction to the Xbox Direct. And I have to say, I'm very unsatisfied. There was nothing revealed that I could really sink my teeth into. No Half-Life 3, no Crisis 4, no Black Ops. I mean, probably the best thing they showed was Fable, and that's not even a game that I would really play. But that's kind of how piss poor the reveals was today. Now, there's rumblings about a Nintendo Direct in July. I am praying that it doesn't jump the shark like this Xbox showcase. Now, I got the feeling that it's not, by the way, because I really, really have a good feeling about this Nintendo Direct, and they're good. I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about video games the whole video. We'll get to the movies here. I don't have a lot of movies to show, so it's not going to be an hour video. I know I always say that, but I got the feeling we can knock this out in 30 minutes. So, that being said, let me finish saying what I was saying. I have a strong feeling that Metroid Prime 4, the release date is going to be revealed, and we're going to see some gameplay footage on the Nintendo Direct if it happens in July. Quite possibly, we could get a console reveal, the new Nintendo console, for 2024, guys, which might even be Q1, and that would just blow my mind. So that's coming up. I'm also going to host a StreamYard for that event as well, so look out for that on this channel. Now, let's get to the movies. Ever had cold pressed coffee? Stuff's so good, man. Bought it at the grocery stores, a pint or 2 pints of Starbucks cold pressed coffee. Man, that stuff's addicting. By the way, I had a huge spider on my window that was really scaring me. I'm glad it went away. Now, I can't remember if I mentioned it because it took me a couple. I had to delete a few edits trying to start this video, but if I didn't, I'm getting really into killer rat films after watching Night Eyes, a movie that blew me away that we talked about in the last video. So I've searched high and low to find some of the greatest killer rat films of all time and some of the worst killer rat films of all time as well. What do you expect from killer rat films? You're going to have a gauntlet of really, really bad to really, really badass. Now, let's start off with non-rodent films. And I have 2 of those. Now, we'll start with this one. I picked this up in the past. This is an out-of-print Blu-ray here. Taylor's dog hair attached to it. 1987 film. Everyone knows this movie. Classic 80s vampire film. Rest in peace to our boy. Let me see. I don't even know if I can read it in this light. This has all kinds of great actors in it. I mean, you know, Lance Henriksen. Rest in peace to Bill Paxton. Yeah, man, 1987. This was directed by Catherine Bigelow. Actually, a little bit of a fan of hers, man. She directed Point Break, which we did a 90s podcast recently, and that's an action film that I almost had in my top 5 favorite action films of the 90s. Also directed Blue Steel, Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm not really a huge fan of that film. The Hurt Locker, to name a few. And yeah, out of print. I picked this up a few times in the past and I've always flipped it. I don't know, man. I might go ahead and keep this. If I don't, then it sells for like 30 to 40 bucks if I remember correctly. Yeah, man. The case was not in the best shape. I picked this up from a pawn shop for $1. So I opened a brand new Dollar Tree Blu-ray and just changed the cases. Yeah, man. Badass vampire flick. Alright, this is a movie that I've been wanting to pick up for the longest time. I've never seen this movie. This was a M. Night movie, right? M. Night Shyamalan. Shyamalama Ding Dong. Let me see. Uh-oh. Getting some vibration from the car here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Unless he just produced it. I think he directed it. Let me see. Yeah, written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Now, listen, this gets a lot of hate, this film. I think the cheese factor is really high in it. It's got Mark Wahlberg, which you can take or leave him. I mean, sometimes he seems like he's a good actor, but the majority of the time he seems like he's a horrible actor, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I heard this is really cheesy. I've never seen it before. I think it's where, like, plants, the environment comes to life and starts killing, something of that nature. I'm not sure. I haven't done much research into it. But every time I see this, I never see it on Blu-ray. I always see it on DVD. It always seems like it's in poor condition. It's missing the insert. And I finally found it on Blu-ray. So I snapped on that, paid $1 for it at a thrift store. So here you go. Oh, it's got the digital copy in it too. You guys want the digital copy, just pause it right there. I don't know if it's still good, but I always try to take care of my subscribers, man. It's the type of dude I am. Alright, so that's it for the non-rodent films. Let's get into the killer rat stuff. I'm really excited about this, guys. Alright, let's get into the worst of it. I haven't seen all these movies, by the way, so some of these movies will be repeats. We'll talk about these after I've watched them in the next video. Now, the worst of these is definitely Killer Rats. Now, I did not mean to pick this up loose disc. I got this off of Amazon, and I guess I just didn't read the fine print, so they sent it to me loose disc. 10 minutes into it, I'm thinking, oh man, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and order a complete copy of it, because I'm definitely not, I'm a shelf guy. I like to be able to see the movies on the shelf. Hate having loose disc stuff. Not so much, I mean, I'm the same with video games, but I have a lot of loose disc stuff that's worth 100, 200 and up on in video games. So it makes sense to keep those loose discs. But movies like this, I have no interest in keeping loose disc. Now, if this was good, I would have bought a physical copy, is what I'm trying to say, or I would have bought a complete copy of it. Now, this movie has some really bad CGI in it. The synopsis is: an undercover reporter discovers an army of vicious rodents have infested a rehab facility she's investigating. This is one of those movies that you watch and you say to yourself, what has happened to my life? Like, where did things go wrong? You know, it's like, it's that bad. Terrible CGI. You'd almost overlook some of the CGI if the characters were interesting, but the characters in the film are all just humdrum, boring characters. I think there's some two exterminators that you always want to be good. You always think of Arachnophobia with John Goodman and, you know, the movie Exterminator, right? And you want those characters to be the best characters in the movie. And I think the characters are somewhat interesting. The two exterminators, like the devices that they have for killing rats are pretty badass, but they die off like real quick and you don't get to know them. And it's just, it's a bad film, guys. I mean, I wish I could tell you it's so bad it's good, but it's just so bad it is bad. So, Killer Rats, I have no interest in seeing that one again. Keep that pinky down, baby. American. American. All right, now, let's go to the couple of films that I've not seen that just arrived in the mail over the last couple of days. And one of these films I'll be watching tonight for sure, and that is Rats, a Bruno Mattei film, famous Italian director. It's got Massimo Vanni in it, who's been in a lot of Mattei films. He always plays like these tough guy roles. Generally not the lead role. I don't know if he's the lead role in this one. Maybe he is in this one. But yeah, man. What is it? The underscore or whatever. The Rats Night of Terror. This is a Blue Underground release here with the clear case, which is pretty cool. Now, this is a 1984 film. Yes, guys, 80s. The 80s are the best, man. And basically, in this post-apocalyptic world, a group of punk friends looking for water and food in an abandoned city find themselves against millions of bloodthirsty and intelligent rats, guys. I mean, that just sounds amazing, right? So I've heard good things about this. You know, Italian directors back in the 80s, lots of schlocky films, you know, these Italian directors have created, and Bruno Mattei is famous for making some schlock. This should be really good, man. Fascinated to watch this, man. I can't wait to watch it tonight. Got the feeling this is going to be one of my favorites. It's got the inner artwork with the chapter selection, which is really cool. And it's got a cool little cover, man. I think they have a Blu-ray release of this, but it might have been a little bit pricey, and I was like, you know what, let me get this first, check it out, and if I need to upgrade, if it's really a badass film, I can upgrade to Blu-ray later on. All right, the only other film that I have not seen is a film that I got the feeling is going to be really a horrible film. These are post-2000 films, guys. A couple of these that I'm going to show off now. So 2001, this is Rodents with a Z, also known as Altered Species. And in a nutshell, guys, a gigantic rat leads an army of violent and aggressive rodents on a killing spree. And I'm pretty sure that this has something to do with labs and experiments, you know, going wrong, and then the rats turning on people, right? Yeah, it's going to be one of those type of films. And it's funny, it comes like in a Wii case. You know this is not the original case. It does not look right at all. It looks hilarious. Oh God, it's full screen too, of course. That's how the chapter inserts, which is cool. Let me see if I can read this. Walter and Professor Irwin believe their green miracle formula is the key to the regeneration of damaged cells. But late one night, Walter starts to notice a change in some of the rats they used as their test subjects. Not only are the rats now extremely aggressive, but one has grown 50 times its normal size, and it wants them for lunch. Oh, man. I mean, this is just the kind of film that just, you walk into a thrift store and it just calls to you from the shelf, you know? Watch me, come on. You gotta do it, PWM. Check me out. Look at my terrible CGI cover. I mean, even the cover is CGI. I mean, you know this is going to be some shit. Holy mackerel. Look at the rats on the back chilling on a pipe. I mean, this is going to be absolutely insanely bad. Oh, God, the tagline is hide the cheese. Oh, man, I can't say I don't love it. I really love it, guys. I really love it. Come on, guys. Can you give me a widescreen Blu-ray release of this? All right, now, let's get to the films that I've seen. Oh, we gotta put this back on. Let's see. Oh, this is for this one right here, right? What the hell? Oh, okay. That's for that one. All right, so an interesting film here, Mulberry Street. Now, this was the cool thing about this. I love films that are like on set in a city. You know, like, you know, what's a good example? I Come in Peace is filmed in Houston, downtown Houston. This is all filmed in New York. This is an indie film, and this is a 2006 film directed by Jim Mickle. Now, he's actually directed some interesting films. A film that I have not seen, but I've heard good things about. Stake Land, which I think is like a post-apocalyptic zombie film, if I remember correctly. And then a movie that I've heard good things about also, Cold in July, that I need to check out. Now, I think Stake Land's a foreign film, subtitles. So, I mean, I always tell people, man, you're missing out on some of the best films ever made when you just completely dismiss subtitles. But I'm not like a subtitle nut myself. So sometimes, like, I'm sure I started to watch Stake Land a few times, and I was like, oh, God, I don't want to deal with subtitles. So every once in a while, I get, you know, irritated by them as well. So I feel your pain, but, man, subtitle film, there's some really good subtitle films. Now, what's the guy's name, the New Yorker indie film director? I'm pretty sure he does a cameo in this film. I can't think of his name. Oh, well, it's neither here nor there. Let me read this one real quick. The city that never sleeps may shut its eyes for good when a deadly infection turns its residents into savage creatures. There is only one hope for a small few, including 6 recently evicted tenants who must protect their crumbling apartment complex as the city around them is thrown into chaos. This is an interesting movie, man. It's a rat zombie film. You know, you always hear about like rats carrying like diseases and stuff. I think I've also heard like rats are some of the cleanest animals. I don't know what to believe, but it's not like they're giving you, you know, whatever rats give you, whatever diseases they give you. They're literally biting you and turning you into human rats with rat features, like hair on your ears and pointed noses and, you know, teeth, you know, protruding out of your mouth. It's friggin' hilarious. But you know where to be honest with you, where this film fails me? They're like in this, I don't think it's a brownstone. I think that's another film. They're in this like apartment complex that's literally like falling apart, right? In the ghetto, right? And, well, I don't know if they're in the ghetto, but you know what I mean. But anyway, for me, it's the perfect breeding ground for a rat infestation. But I'm not even lying to you guys. I'm not knocking this movie. This is a pretty good film, and I think you guys need to check it out because it's different than any of the other rat films. But I was upset that there should have been a huge rat infestation where, like, that should have been the main premise of the movie. You should have saw that more, where the tenants were talking about it and saying, oh my God, there's so many rats in this place, you know, we got to get out of here. When, you know, calling the landlord saying, hey, you got to do something about the rats. It's really like, you hear, so in the news, they keep talking about, oh, rats have bit people and there's diseases and there's like news reports. There's not enough of rat footage in this film. I literally think you see like 2 or 3 rats the whole movie. It's crazy. But like I said, an interesting movie. It's hilarious, man. Some of the rat features and stuff. It's kind of a frenetic paced film, shot kind of in a unique style. I would give it a loose recommend. Yeah, man, Mulberry Street. And it's part of the 8 Films to Die For Lionsgate release here. What the other 8 films are, I have no clue, to be honest with you. Larry Fessenden. I'm pretty sure I saw Larry Fessenden like twice in this film, which I thought was pretty cool. Okay, the tagline is, there's something below us, worse than hell. I like the tagline. A zombie film that breaks the mold. It sure enough breaks the mold. There's never been a zombie rat film, let me just tell you. It's unique in that facet, for sure. All right, now, moving on here. It'd be funny if this movie went an hour. It's not, it's 21 minutes. We only got 2 more movies. Okay. I gotta get home and teabag Old Dog at Halo or something. I dominate that boy all the time. Oh shit. Alright, this is an interesting film right here, man. Okay, so we have The Rats. And by the way, speaking of bad CGI cover art, like, you would think that this is just, I mean, what, like, who? This is the same cover art, basically. It's so funny. Now, The Rats, a 2002 film, post-2000 rat films, man. They can be missed, that's for sure. But you know what? This hits on some level for me, man. I'm going to be honest with you. It's directed by, so this is very interesting right here. Okay, directed by John Lafia. John Lafia wrote, a bullshit you not, Child's Play. Then he directs Child's Play 2. He also directed and wrote Man's Best Friend, the Killer Dog film. So this guy is a absolute killer when it comes to horror films. And you know what? This is definitely not as good as those films, but I didn't mind it, man. It's got Vincent Spano as he's the exterminator in the film. Let me go ahead and read this synopsis for you guys. This is a pretty good film, I'm not going to lie. It drags a little bit, I'm going to tell you right now. All right, they're coming. Thousands of ravenous, bloodthirsty rats and the terrified occupants of a New York City department store have nowhere to hide. Not only are these genetically altered creatures smarter, stronger, and bigger than normal rats. They've also acquired a taste for human flesh. Time is running out for the investigator, Jack Carver. Vincent Spano. Is he an investigator? He almost seems like an exterminator in this film. I don't know. The only man who can discover how these rodents became violent killers and stop their trail of victims before it's too late. The suspense builds in the sewers and subways of Gotham as the battle rages to determine which species will survive, man or beast. Now, some reviewer says, does for rats what Birds and Psycho did for showers. Oh no, what Birds did, there's a sticker over it. Birds did for whatever, the skies, and Psycho did for showers, I'm sure. Which, to be honest with you, is a little bit taking it a little bit too far, okay? This is no Gone with the Wind of horror films. Not that Gone with the Wind is good, but... Alright, now, I think you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. Now, again, the movie drags a little bit, but, you know, Spano's fine. I think he does a good job. The department manager, really beautiful. I think she does a good acting. The acting is actually pretty good in this film. Now, I did watch some of the special features on this. This brings an interesting point. I do want to talk about this. Like, I feel like it takes a special person. I started thinking about this when I was watching the special effects on this film. The beautiful lady in this movie, I can't remember what her name is, the department store head. She's in the special features, and she's like holding a brown rat like this and saying, oh, the rat is so cute. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, you're holding a brown rat? That is disgusting. Like, I've always been terrified of rats, like literally. In my house where I grew up was on center blocks. It was a brick house. No, I'm sorry. Part of the house was wood, and later on I think they put aluminum siding on it. And then like there's a brick addition that was built onto the house that also had center blocks under it. So our house was built up, and I think that can lead to like rat issues or whatever. But I remember as a kid, I used to have a friend named Trevor, and he used to come over, and we would always, back then we called it ranking. We'd rank on each other. We'd go to each other's houses and just crack up laughing, talking shit about each other. And we'd be like, I don't know, playing Tecmo Bowl in the bedroom, and all of a sudden you'd hear rats in the walls like banging against the studs, going boom, 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 in the walls. And he used to make fun of me so bad. He's like, dude, you got Bo Jackson rats in your house. And I always remembered how funny that was. But I've always been terrified of rats, you know? And I don't know the difference between rats and mice. I have no clue. I remember finding out a rat had entered, I figured out what happened. There was a branch on a tree that led to like an eave, which is like a vent in our attic, and rats had crawled up there, at least a female and a male, and got into the walls of my house, the house I live in now, and then bred. They had babies and stuff. So I found out about that. And by the way, dogs, they're the worst. Dogs will never kill a rat. Dogs look at a rat and they get freaked out by it. Cats will kill rats. Dogs, forget about it. So I even did a video like on the Tight White channel where part of the video, the rats were in my attic and stuff, and I fell off the ladder. Actually, in real life, I actually hurt myself. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. But I ended up setting traps, right, and killing them. But there was like one left. And one day I'm sitting in my lazy back chair drinking beer, probably watching a horror flick. All of a sudden from the kitchen runs a rat around the corner. It runs straight to me and gets like underneath my chair and somehow gets in my chair. So I jump off the freaking chair, scared as hell. And then I got like a broom and like flipped up the chair, and then it bounced out from the bottom of my chair and ran across the living room. Now it's under my couch. And then I think my daughter was there at that point. I'm like, pull the couch out. And I got like a vacuum cleaner, and as soon as she pulls the couch out, the rat runs where I'm at in the hallway. I got a vacuum. I start beating the fucking rat with, excuse my language, beating the rat with the vac. And later on, I'm thinking about, like, am I really that scared of a mouse? This is ridiculous. I'm an adult, 6'3", 250-pound male, and I'm scared of a little rodent? This is ridiculous. But that being said, I'm not holding a rat and petting it. You know, don't these things have diseases? They got those teeth that are like, they come from the bottom, and they're like 2 long teeth. They're like very disgusting looking. And so yeah, these beautiful women in this special features, like, oh, the rats are so cute. And because there's like scenes in the movie, they use real rats in this film. They mix like CGI rats with real rats. They do a really good job of that. There's scenes where like real rats are crawling over people. And now some people had problems with it, but I'm just surprised. Like that, it takes a special type of person that could. Now, what's the difference? Like, you have a white rat. Like, I see people like with white rats in cages and shit, and they're like feeding it and shit. Like, is that a racial thing? Like, white rats, people don't have problems with, but brown rats, they do? Like, if you're walking down the street and there's a white rat in the sidewalk, are you going to continue walking? Or if there's a brown rat, are you going to cross the road? I'm being kind of ridiculous, but you know what I mean. It's like very weird that brown rats get like, almost like they're the nasty house rat with the diseases, but yet if it's a white rat, it's okay. So I don't know. It's very weird, but I don't know. I just thought about that when I was watching the special features. Now, this has one of the. Now, I would just say this is just, you know, it's just all right. No, I wouldn't talk it up at all. It has one of the most epic, badass final sequences in the final act that I've ever seen. And the difference between this movie and the CGI and like killer rats is the CGI is actually done very well in this film. There's a scene where I'm trying not to give up the ending because it's kind of important, but I'll just put you like this. They have an empty pool, and literally there has to be 500,000 rats in this that pour into this empty pool and fill it up. And there is such an epic scene that happens in this at the end of this film that puts this up there with one of my favorite rat films of all time, just because of that scene. I'm not going to give it up, guys, but you have to check this one out. The Rats. The tagline for this is, "The city's rat race just got deadly." Again, I like the tagline. All right, hold on a second. Last movie here, guys, and the best. I'm out of cold pressed coffee, so good enough. And we're at what? 32 minutes. All right, finally I did a video that's not an hour. Now, I told you guys in the last video, Night Eyes is probably my favorite killer rat film of all time. So now I'm trying to search down every rat film to make sure that I'm correct in that assumption. Now, Night Eyes has some effing competition. I've seen the cover art of this film before, guys. I've known about this film for quite some time, just from a distance, just from afar. Only cover art alone, only the fact that Peter Weller is in it. And just thought this is some family drama film, which I should not have done that, because I should have said, why is there claws there? PWM. Why is there claws there? What is clawing at this family? What is clawing at this husband and wife? Is it a bear? Is it an alligator? Is it an abominable? Is it an abominable monster? What am I trying to say? An abominable snowman? Is it Bigfoot? And then I think it even says on here, home invasion. Oh yes, check this out. The terrifying last word in Home Invasion. From the director. Oh, this is what blows me away. They're about to take my steam from me, guys. 1983 film Of unknown origin. Not the best name in the world, and that's probably why it gets overlooked by everybody in the history of cinema. This was directed by George P. Cosmatos. If his name sounds familiar, guys, this is the legend. Yes, I'm saying legendary. The legendary, I said it, legendary director of Cobra, Rambo 2, Tombstone, and Leviathan. Starring one of my favorite actors of all time, Peter Weller, and one of the hottest actresses of all time, the woman that was married to Gene Simmons of Kiss, Shannon Tweed, the lady that ages like fine wine. She's probably 60 years old and she looks 35. She's got legs that never stop. Okay, guys, let me take a deep breath, man. Now, you talk about home invasion, you start thinking, home invasion? Home invasion is normally, you know, the strangers, right? Humans dressed in costumes so you don't know who they are, invading your home to kill you. This is an animal rodent home invasion film, guys. Yes, this is a killer rat film of unknown origin. It says on the back, a visual tour de force, fast, taut, and darkly comic. Kevin Thomas of the Los Angeles Times. You know how many movies I've rented back in the Hollywood video days just because of Kevin Thomas? And the Blockbuster days. This is a Blockbuster film of all Blockbuster films. All right, let's see if we can read this. All right, when not married, oh, no, I'm sorry. I mean, I could have said married, right? The words are interchangeable, I think. When not mired in the corporate rat race, Wall Street executive Bart Hughes is king of his sleek Manhattan brownstone. Suddenly, his castle is under siege. Bart takes a stand with the survival and sanity at stake. Obviously, Peter Weller is of RoboCop fame, guys. He was also in Firstborn, a movie that we talked about on my coked out Peter Weller in Firstborn. We talked about a few videos back. This movie is incredible, guys. I mean, the rat is the size of a... speaking of Night Eyes, the wiener dogs in the rat costumes, the rat in this movie is the size of a wiener dog, I swear to God. But it does not look like... Not saying that Night Eyes, they look like costumes, but they don't look authentic. I would say this film, well... I don't know, they kind of hide the rat. They do a very good job of showing, like, the rat's tail in scenes. Like, you'll see Peter Weller, and he'll just be, like, cooking in the kitchen or whatever. And then in the background, you'll see a huge, massive rat tail hanging down the countertop, and the rat, like, behind a picture, and then it'll move, and the tail will, like, flap. This rat is massive. Now, so, you know, he's a corporate giant. He's, like... he's working for some big, you know, Fortune 500 company or whatever. And, you know, he goes home to this brownstone, and all of a sudden he's starting to notice, like, food in his pantry, bags being torn open, and, you know, signs, you know, rat droppings in the house or whatnot. And so he enlists the help. There's some really interesting characters in this film. There's, like, I don't know if this is like a... almost thought he was like a homeless guy at first, but maybe he's like a, not a superintendent, but like a maintenance guy for the brownstone. But then there's another guy who's like a shop owner nearby that he has conversations with. And he goes to these guys for advices on this. And the guys are always like, especially the guy who, he lives like underneath the brownstone or like underneath like street level. I think he's like a maintenance guy. And he's always telling Peter Weller, oh man, those rat traps are for grandmothers, man. You need to step your game up. And he's always like trying to make like belittle him and tell him, man, you're not ready to deal with rats. Like rats are, he's like really hyping up rats. Like rats are, you know, I felt it. Like when I had rats in my house, like it was terrifying me. Like I really had to go to some extreme measures. And he's building these rats up like it's unbelievable. And giving him advice, you know, what type of poisons to use and whatnot. And so Peter Weller goes around and he puts like these regular wooden, like your typical like big ass rat traps around the house and stuff. And he slices up cheddar cheese and puts slices of cheese on all of them. And then he goes and looks around after he goes to work. He comes home, and the wooden rat traps, like they're chewed up. Like the rats ate up, or the rat ate up the wood on them. The cheese is taken off of them. The rats are flipped. The rat traps are flipped, so they do nothing at all, right? So he goes back and he shows the guy. He's like, yeah, you got to step your game up. Those rat traps are for grandmothers and stuff like that. He goes to this store, and this store owner, I swear to God, gives him like, I'm talking about, these are like medieval times, like steel, like bear traps. And he starts putting these steel traps all around his house, literally like medieval times and stuff. And it's so over the top and cheesy, but it's a black comedy to a certain extent, but it's very serious and very intense, man. Peter Weller does a great acting job in the film. And so Peter Weller goes to work, and he's getting very distracted at work. He's in his briefcase. He's bringing these books about rats, and he's doing research on rats and learning about them. And he goes on like this corporate dinner, and they're all talking about work and stuff. And he breaks out into this big monologue about how rats, their teeth never stop growing. Like their teeth will grow like 6 feet long if they're not constantly chewing. So it'll continue to grow. And that's why they chew on everything, wood, metal. Rats can chew on concrete. And he's going to this giant monologue on rats and how rats are worshipped in certain countries, and rats are eaten by people, their cuisine in certain countries, and how rats ended like human life in certain continents and because of disease, I think the bubonic plague, and how really building rats, like the maintenance guy's building rats up on a platform up here, and now Peter Weller is so obsessed he's building them up on a platform high above humans, like to the point where he's almost worshiping them. So it becomes this interesting dichotomy. Now, guys, I cannot do this movie justice, man. This might be right up there with Night Eyes for me. This is possibly my favorite rat film of all time. The rat is absolutely terrorizing him. The Shannon Tweed and the son, they go away to visit grandparents in another state. So Peter Weller is alone to his own devices, and the rat is tormenting him every step of the way. One of my favorite film sequences in rat horror film history. Peter Weller wakes up in bed and the lights are on so you can see everything crystal clear. This is shot so expertisely, shot so well. Let me just put it that way. He's laying in bed and he looks up all of a sudden. And you know how, like, if you ever had your dog in your bed before and you put the sheets on him and you play with him and stuff, and he's underneath the sheets, and he's moving around and stuff. Peter Weller wakes up and looks up, and there's this giant thing in his bed, and you can see the sheets like raised up in this formation of what looks like it might be like a dog size, like literally like, I'm not going to say German Shepherd, but like, I don't know, man, way bigger than a poodle, and I think bigger than a wiener dog as well. And he's like, his eyes open wide, and he's looking at it, and all of a sudden, it darts out of the bed. You see the sheets move, and it fucking just leaves the bed. It goes right under the sheets and just takes off. I am telling you, that scene is shot so epic, and it scared the living daylights out of me. I mean, it is amazing. Wow. You know, there's so much to talk about in this film, man. Let me see here. Peter Weller of RoboCop, Odyssey 5, plays Bart in An Unknown Origin, an eerie and nerve-tingling suspense thriller from director George P. Cosmatos of Tombstone and Cobra fame, and the winner of Paris International Film Festival Awards 1983 for the Best Picture and Actor. Cleverly compelling, the film draws you into another rat race. Wow, this one, well, an international film. Yeah, this won awards, man. I can definitely see that. It is that great of a film. Namely, one with an intruder that's formidable, persistent and clever enough to draw Bart along on an unwitting path to self-destruction. In the battle of man versus beast, push has come to scream. So yeah, Peter Weller is also, he has this brownstone. I can't remember if I mentioned that. And supposedly he tells the maintenance guy, he's bragging on it and stuff, trying to tell the maintenance guy what a man he is and how he built it from ground up. Not the outside of it, the structure, whatever, but he renovated it and stuff. Installed the floors himself, the drywall, the countertops, and everything. He's bragging on it big time. So it's kind of like his kingdom, right? So he literally destroys the inside of this brownstone trying to kill this rat. One of the biggest surprises in films I've seen in a long friggin' time, guys. Right up there with Night Eyes. Just a shocker of how great this film was. And it gets a high recommend on PWM's list of recommendations. Check it out, guys. Of Unknown Origin. Alright, guys, that's it. Thanks for checking out the video. I will review or summarize Rodents in the next video. Bruno Mattei's Rats. And I'll be getting a hold of a few more rat films as well. And like I said, pretty soon we'll do a top 10 greatest killer rat films of all time. Alright, guys, good luck out there finding whatever physical media that you are looking for. And I will catch you guys in the next video.